Good evening, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, May 20th. It's the monthly meeting of the School Building Committee. First item on the agenda is a permitting update.
Yep. So I'll run
So
through.
go
Oh,
ahead, Emily. I'll let you go ahead if you want to start.
yeah. I was just gonna run through kind of our where we've been, where we're going, and some of the follow-up items. And if you want to jump in and add any color commentary, that'd be great. So we went to the planning board meeting 5/12. That was continued to 6/2. We had a couple of follow-up items coming out of that, including number of hydrants, some of the truck sizing for construction, and then submitting reports to the planning board. So we'll be attending that on 6/2, and then also the following one, which I believe is mid-July. Concom, we attended on 5/18. That one's continued to 6/8. Some follow-up items from that were that FBI will be further defining the erosion and soil sediment control for the east side staging area, and providing a more detailed plan for that. Also, we'll be drafting the order of conditions for presentation at their next meeting on 6/8, looking to get final approval on that. We also have the Board of Health meeting coming up on 6/15, and we will meet with the select board. That date is to be determined. And then Matt, did you have anything to add to that?
You nailed it. Basically everything I had on my list.
Okay,
And the
great.
consultant for the planning board their team was actually working on it. They got back to us. They said they had some additional information come in. And so it sounds like they'll be able to get the comments back to you guys before the next meeting. So,
Great.
all right. Next item would be design updates.
So we are continuing on into CDs. We have done a lot of coordination with our consultants the last few weeks on, mechanical, electrical, trying to get all the trades coordinated with our drawings and making sure, try to eliminate any gaps and get all scope covered for the upcoming estimate submission. We've been, working with the spec writer as well. Continuing basically to crank away on a lot of details. We're doing a lot of window, curtain wall, storefront details, kind of further developing all the stuff that we started during DD. And kind of jumping ahead a little bit, we also started the redesign of the gang toilet room because our plumbing variants to reduce the number of fixtures for the non-continuous use of all three spaces of the cafeteria, the gym, and the auditorium was approved. So we're working out the new layout for that. We sent a draft over to Bob, Pat, Anna, and I think John earlier this evening for them to get their eyes on it and get any comments over to us so we can then present it to the working group and then to you guys as well.
One question for you, Matt and Jeff, actually, and Emily. So
Mhm.
Fontaine had sent out a list of VE options. Since you guys are working on design, I had asked that question earlier, is when do we have to say, hey, these are some options we may consider, may not consider for the VE? Because, I'd rather have those figured out ahead of time. So if we pick an item that, they're working on, we could get it to a point where that piece could be backed out.
So the VE list, Jeff, I think you have a combined VE list that had all the VE comments from everybody on it. I don't know if we got final, updated pricing from FBI on that. I don't remember where we stand with that actually.
I get a list from Fontaine that Jeff had sent me over one that had a number of items on it, and that was all we got to date. So
I think we should take another pass at it, Rich. I think what we heard from the committee was an interest in entertaining the flooring option, which I think is the biggest driver there. And so if that is in fact something you guys want to go forward with, more holistically replacing the flooring and where it makes sense, obviously, why don't we, as the consultant team, put together a menu of options? So I'll have Fontaine relook at the VE list. I think you had sent some initial comments, I think, on that list, Rich, about things that are, non-starters. right? So we'll work with Adam and Chelsea to make sure we kind of update that list, maybe bubble up the 7 or 8, items that would allow us to then buy back the flooring, and we'll also have the Fontaine look at that plumbing reduction because we're eliminating, what was it, 8 fixtures, I think, Matt, total, or Steve? 8 fixtures. You
And
know,
a
we'll have,
lab.
yeah, we'll have a fair bit of savings as well. So, we can look at that as well. We'll throw it on the VE log for tracking purposes, but we understand that's going to move forward. And so we'll
Yep.
kind of have a menu that we can come back with at your next meeting to make some decisions.
We
That's
also will
fine.
have all the VE saving or the savings from eliminating the framing for that mezzanine, since we did move the custodial workshop and the office over, which eliminates building up that mezzanine and also eliminates the catwalk connecting over to the existing stair that led out of there as well.
And Jeff, one of the items was there was a $50,000 charge for
Before we jump
steel
over
that,
that, did everybody understand what Matt was talking about by reducing the number of fixtures? If you remember, we had a stadium style bathroom, if you will, over by the receiving area because it had all that volume. What the design team is proposing is actually reducing the overall count there, therefore making custodial receiving bigger to fit the office that was displaced during schematic design and then was built as a mezzanine over the existing boiler room. So now it's a fairly significant savings to not have to build net new space over that boiler room. And so we're going to have the design team and the CM confirm that cost. And we can, probably the cleanest way, Chelsea, is to put that on the VE log just for tracking. It'll be an automatic yes once the working group accepts that layout. But that would be my thoughts.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I need, Jeff, is to understand what scope is impact, like the mezzanine,
Yeah, we
kind of
need a
getting
sketch.
a
Yeah.
kit apart so that we can make sure we've got cost associated with that. Matt, we can coordinate that separate.
Perfect.
Yeah, so if Matt's reviewing that with the school leadership now, we'll bring it to the next working group. We'll then get that cycle of documents back to the CM team to price it, and we'll have it back in front of you for your June meeting.
okay, there was just some items that were just, in my mind, there were like, definite things that we could pick up easily and that would be no skin off anyone's nose. So I think that, we should have those ready for if we do need them. It's not that we have to, it's just, it's easier to have them figured out ahead of time. And if we have to pick one or two, we've already got them all figured out ahead of time.
Rich, I know you gave me comments on the initial old version, right? I think there was a small number of VE items, and then I sent you a revised one that combined all of the design team's VE items and ours. If you feel like there's any in that full list that you have now that are no-goes, could you just let me know? Otherwise, I'll just run with the comments that you had previously provided.
Okay, I'll take a look and that sounds good. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Next item would be discussion on variances.
So we kind of just touched on the first one. The plumbing variance was approved for the reduced number of fixtures, which is good. So again, we're working on that. We send a draft over for review and we'll continue to refine that and then present it to you guys once it's approved by the working group. We also submitted last week for the MAAB variances. So that is out the door and we're waiting to hear back on everything that was submitted on that. And hopefully, it doesn't add any scope back in that we're hoping to not include. And we're also still working on pulling together the plumbing variance for the science rooms, trying to figure out if we can get away with either doing the collection system for the chemicals or if we need to do a chips tank in the room with the collection. So I believe we're in the process of working with our consultants to get that written up, and that will be submitted in the near future.
Question
Lee,
for you,
anything?
Matt, on your bill, I noticed that there was a line item for, I think it was the consultant fee. Would that be the plumbing? Was that the plumbing? Was that where that was on? There was a line item on it.
So the plumbing, and I apologize, Rich, for getting to you late this month, but and I can walk everybody through the total invoice, but the plumbing invoice there, the $10,000 was for the work that was done over the February break where we cambered the lines
Scoping.
to validate whether we could reuse the mains or whether we needed to trench the floor. So that was
Okay.
what that $10,000 represents.
Yeah, no, that's, I saw it and I almost thought it was your consultant going for the variance for the toilets, but if that was covered, that, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I just was curious more than anything, so. Um, phasing plan review, I assume that would be Fontaine.
Yep. All right, so we've had a good opportunity here to spend a good amount of time on site and continue to study the flow of the existing school operations and how we want to set things up for construction. And figured it'd be a good opportunity to take some time to show you where our thoughts are right now and what we're thinking in terms of approach for phasing of the project. It's a good opportunity for us to get some broader feedback from this group with where we are right now. We have obviously we don't mobilize till March, and we won't buy out the scopes for some time here. So nothing set in stone at this point, and this is a great opportunity for us to get your thoughts, feedback, if there's anything else that we should refine or areas we need to take a deeper look at. So with that, I'll ask Adam and Griff to walk us through our interior and site phasing plans here.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so this here is basically the building footprint. What you have in red here would be the new addition. So this would be kind of that spring up until the following summer. So spring of 2027 to summer of 2028. We'll be working in here, building the new addition, new classroom spaces. Within that first summer 2027, we'll also be working within this red area here, renovating the boiler room and sort of backfeeding the new addition. In that same time, we will be constructing the temporary space for the superintendent's office. So
Can I
that
just
will
ask a
be,
question about that, please?
yes.
Not just to you or the group. I'm assuming that we have explored other alternatives here rather than building a temporary headquarters, so to speak. They can't relocate to some other location in town to avoid the cost of this.
We talked about if there was any room at town hall, and there really wasn't. And that's, as far as I know, that's the only town-owned area that we
Yeah,
discussed.
the train station wouldn't work as an office. What they're using it for right now is at the limit.
And the food pantry's moving in on Tuesday.
Correct. Right.
So
Yeah, I'm not suggesting
And-
that I don't agree that this is a good idea. I just want to make sure we've
Yeah.
thought of everything in
Yeah,
terms
we-
of relocating the office.
Yeah, in the walkthrough, I mean, when we did it, Jim, we did actually go through that. I mean, if there was another option to do it, renting something is going to be a cost. They're going to fit the room out, and it won't be. It would be some work that they had to do, some work that we'll do and we'll undo. So it's it's the most
Yeah,
cost
and-
effective.
And there's already some like spaces that we could use for more private offices, like the control room, the podcast room. So it's gonna be tight, but we think we'll be able to fit everything in.
Okay, I just wanted to know because I want to be sure that we've thought of everything. I knew we had, but I just want to be comfortable myself that because one of the things we've been doing over time here is making sure that we don't have to build stuff we just tear down, or we don't have to have any
Right.
temporary other
Yeah.
space. So far, this is the only one, right? That's going to be temporary.
Yep.
No working from home, huh?
No, the plan was it's 6 people. We might want to retrofit the closets to be occupied space. So there'll be a little bit of HVAC, but it's the existing TV studio that's underutilized today.
Yeah.
And so I think it makes sense to utilize this space, but we can certainly keep an eye on the cost and revisit it if it grows.
Great, thank you.
The other option is also I can work out of my car.
an option.
At least we'll know where to find you, Bob.
Just going back to the phasing that you talked about, one of the questions in the working group that was brought up was access. There's going to be school athletics at the end of the summer and access around this phase, how that was going to work.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of big picture, and the next slides show what the site's going to look like when the kids come back for the first day of school, summer of 2027. So if we want to kind of just walk through the life of the project, and then we can go to the next slide and kind of see what that site's going to look like.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. So, yeah, so that's the spring start. These red areas are kind of our first summer slammers. So we'll get in there, get that work done. Kids will come back and we can look at what that looks like on the next slide. But from there, we go into the yellow area. So renovating, this is the summer of 2028, renovating the gym, media center, nurse's office, cafeteria spaces, the high school admin spaces. So that's kind of our second summer slammer there, summer 2028. And at that point, we will have basically this red area will be occupied. So starting in that same summer, we will take over the green part of the building here, and that will be sort of the renovation within these floors here in green. We'll have that for about a year. And then from that phase, we'll go into phase 5, which is the following summer, summer of 29, and the renovation of the music rooms, cafeteria, and the auditorium here. And then in that same summer, this area here that's kind of highlighted in gray, that wing of the building comes down, and then we'll be establishing some of the parking that you can see kind of in the background there. So that's kind of high level through the 5 or so phases over the 2.5-year life of the job. And then to get to sort of what it's going to look like when we come in, or when the kids come back for school, fall of 2027. I don't know, Adam, if you want to kind of touch on the site development here.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Griff mentioned, this graphic that you're seeing here is what we propose the site will look like in the fall of 27 after that first summer. So that first summer of work is going to be focused on getting all the underground utilities in, getting the new parking lot on the east side of the school built, including the detention basin and underground infiltrator. And then also be establishing temporary parking areas along the north elevation, and also getting in the infiltration system on the northwest corner of the building. The southwest corner of the building, we've been in discussions about using that for some Connex boxes for the school. There's 3 existing Connex boxes over by the field that we would look to relocate there and potentially add another 1 or 2 Connex boxes for the contents of the existing shed that gets demolished to make way for the addition. The area in orange will be essentially within construction fencing for that fall and through the following summer when the addition is complete. So gate A, that will be our access to the site for material deliveries and other construction traffic vehicles. And then coming off of Plain Street, the red dash line essentially represents the pathway that vehicles would take to get into the site to make deliveries, and then sort of egress out the north along Monroe Street back out to Plain Street. The question had come up about truck access along that road. That is something that we've been looking at using some overlays with 53-foot trailers to look at turning radiuses, and the initial indication is that will work. There may be a couple of tight spots right at the intersection of that access road and Plain Street. But in general, we think that, we'll be able to get those larger vehicles through there.
Adam, can I
So
ask
that,
one question?
yeah,
Sorry to
absolutely.
interrupt. There were two things that we had talked about in the working group. One was the possibility of maybe for a certain amount of time, the baseball relocating just to give you guys, because you have a choke point that we had talked about. So either you'd have to do some sort of either we'd have to put the backstop in early, or maybe for a year they could relocate baseball to allow you guys to have better site access, because we knew this along the way, is that was Jim had me go out and had us go out and stake it because of the concern. But that is a legitimate question to at least let people know we're looking at.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say, I mean, if that is an option, I mean, that would certainly alleviate that choke point. I would say initially, we would be looking to relocate that backstop in order to, be able to keep, baseball activities ongoing. So that would include, getting that retaining wall installed, as well as the the new fencing and netting for the backstop. I guess if it's possible to, relocate, the team in those games, then yeah, that's something that, would certainly alleviate that, that choke point, as you noted.
But you guys are just looking at, possibly also doing it where you phase the retaining wall and the backstop earlier. That's another option also. So we're looking at it from both angles. The other question I
Yep.
had was utilities. So we know you're going to do the infiltrator systems in both parking lots because we need to get those out of the way. You also have, we've got the water loop, and we've got the main power that we're going to have to run would that be in this phase also?
Yeah, that would be the plan, is during that first summer to also get that water loop in addition to the drainage you mentioned, as well as at least getting all the conduits run, for that power, and then getting the transformer pad established, so that we'd be ready for that. But yeah, ideally the plan right now is to get all underground utilities done that first summer, so that we've got that all established, and then we can sort of establish the fence line based on this graphic here, and sort of be out of the rest of the school operation.
Right. So what that means is, just so there would be possibly detours. You'd have a 1-lane road type of thing or something like that, or in areas if you were digging up, but you'd make people aware of that. If you had to close down like the main entrance, you would make everyone aware of the fact that hey, you'd have limited access.
Absolutely. And the goal would be to have all that done before the start of school in the fall. But yeah, we would certainly communicate, when we're digging that road and need to either take it down to 1 lane, or come up with some alternate detours. We would issue some periodic, interim logistics plans to, obviously all the folks in town, including fire and police, just so that they were aware of, any changing site conditions.
Yeah, 'cause they do have like summer ball and stuff sometimes, and the school could probably speak to that, as if they're limited activities in the summer, but I think they do have a few.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Speaking
All
of
right.
that, I guess it just occurred to me, do we know that the rec department folks are not doing stuff over here on this piece of the property in the summertime? Are they mostly on the town park?
They have a spreadsheet. Bob has a spreadsheet, and he can speak better to that. That do you have to sign up for the fields?
Yeah, so right, in the summer, most of the stuff is at the town fields.
Right.
Really, the only thing from the rec is when the carnival's in town, they do the fireworks from the baseball field.
Okay.
And then, sometimes if it's inclement weather, sometimes they'll use our gym if it's not being used.
So they just need to know what the restrictions are going to be over the next few years.
Right. Yeah.
Bob, when they do the fireworks from the baseball field, what's like the best vantage point? Like, where does everybody gather to watch them?
That's a good question.
See where it
I
says
never,
Gate A right there? That's the best vantage point. But most people are back in the main town field.
Okay.
yeah, that's
But
where
I
the
live at the
carnival is.
top of the hill. Yeah.
All right.
If you'd like, I live on Plain Street. You can see them from my house and come on by.
I
Well,
was
it'll be-
I was not planning for my own spectatorship, but more thinking about if people would typically be staging in that area in that parking
No,
lot.
fire
Okay.
trucks are parked in that orange area to protect the
Okay.
school, which will be doubly important. And then most people are back behind the tennis court area.
Yeah, we'll
You
have
can see it
to,
on this picture here. It's in the town field.
Fontaine will have to do diligence with flammable materials at that point because you'll be within the ash, outfall essentially. So we just got to be cognizant about the amount of lumber we have
Yeah.
in vicinity.
I would certainly check with the fire department for details on that. That's just my experience.
All right.
Appreciate the update, Adam, and the presentation here. A couple of open items I know that you guys are still working through, which is access to the fields from the locker room. Right now it kind of goes through where the gray building is. What Fontaine is proposing is kind of cutting that access off, but they haven't resolved the throughput of all the locker room exits to the field and how they exit the building. Because right now we're proposing to kind of block the main entries, right? And so there is that, right where it says rerouted paveway, there's that initial kind of Z-shaped yellow, but that would be coming through the future superintendent's office. So it's not really a great thoroughfare for students. So that's an open item that still needs to be addressed.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll take a closer look at that and see what we can come up with there.
Right. And then, for the committee's benefit, one of the comments we had was like, I've asked for a layout of the parking and the amoeba shaped ones along, as well as the, tree clearing at the top of the site there. And Adam, another thing to consider is that at some point when you guys go to re-roof it, you're going to need Connex boxes at the top of the image there where it says parking in order to take those PVs off, store them, do the roofing, and then put it back up. So we'll need some proximity there when we get to that re-roofing. If it's during the school year, we just need to account for that. If it's in the summer, you certainly have more lateral ability.
Absolutely. Appreciate the heads up.
I actually had a question about the fielding. Now you guys are back on that topic again. So last time at the working group meeting, we talked about potentially maybe going to another doing what the tennis team did, I guess, when Clyde Brown was under construction. I don't know if any more thought has been into that with teaming up with Medway, and when Medway's away, that's our home team, and we play at another school for the duration of the season so that it doesn't interfere with the construction timeline and it still gives the kids a nice home field, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think part of the challenge with that is that it works for games, but practices, they practice every day.
Right. I don't know if they could practice at a different field over here, or maybe Fontaine could refurbish one of the fields at Oak Grove and then they could practice there and then we could use that space. Just thinking all the different angles.
Yeah. Yeah. There is the major league, major league size diamond on the town field. But right now with the softball fence, you couldn't use that for anything other than practice where your left-handed hitters couldn't swing for the fences.
Mm-hmm.
So we did actually, like you said, in the working group, we did bring that up, and that's, the school's going to have to take a look at, seeing what is possible. I mean, unfortunately, we are going to be limited, in what we can do, but they'll look at what we, what we could do. So,
right. Just trying to think of all different ideas for that.
I one other thing that's been on my mind is just beyond competition usage, physical phys ed and use during the day, I'm sure is with probably both of those spaces, I'd imagine the baseball and the track field.
Yeah, more the football field than the baseball field, but yeah, that definitely gets used during the, um, you know, during the fall and spring.
All right. Next steps, upcoming meetings. So
Yep. So we kind of talked about the permitting meetings already. We have the working group coming up on May 27 and June 10. We have the virtual public forum on June 8th at 7 p.m. And the main goal of that is to introduce Fontaine to the community. And then we have our next SBC on June 17th at 7:30.
okey. All right. So unless there was anything else from the group, I think we have to pay some bills. So I think that would be it for, the design team and Vertex. Unless you guys want to watch us pay bills.
I don't want to watch you pay bills either, so I'm going to leave as well.
Okay, that's great. All right.
Rich,
Thank you, everybody.
Could I just
Yep,
say
go
one
ahead.
thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I just wanted to comment on the slides we saw for the staging of the project. I don't know what the plan is in terms of that community forum, but I thought those were pretty effective in summarizing and giving people the overview in a pretty thorough way. Just my thoughts on that. I thought it was pretty well done.
Yeah, the intent was to show that, Griffin, you might want to just change your pink and red. They look too close together. I think with that, Summer Slammer, it's kind of hard to read. But if you change the shade of that, I think they look in good shape. And we try and, again, have a game plan answer for that access to the field. I think those may be questions from the audience, essentially. But the intent was to show the phasing plan now that the CM is proposing it.
I just think it's pretty effectively done there. That's all.
Good.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, appreciate it.
John Engler, we have the regular invoices tonight, but are you bringing that photovoltaic forward? Does that need to go for approval here so that bill can be paid as well?
I won't be paid this one. It might be for the next round if possible.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let's pay some bills. Thank you, design team and Fontaine.
See ya.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Have a
guys.
good night. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
What did I just say? So
Actually, Jeff, Jeff, you're staying. Thank you. Just in case you had any questions on the bill.
Yes, sir.
yeah, so the beta one, I'm going to start with just because it wasn't part of the VIP, but I think in the past you've been able to show it in the next month's VIP and we can approve it tonight. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so just to catch the committee up on the conversations that happen in the background, Beta is the town's peer reviewer. They support the planning board, the select board, and eventually Concom with any outsourced evaluations. And so I think the proposal, I forget off the top of my head, I can pull it up in a second, but we have an $18,000 number for all those different boards to use them. And so we talked about having those invoices funneled to Kim, and then we can put it in the VIP. And so Kim, it can either go to you or you can funnel it through us. That's up to you entirely. But if it goes to you, we'll just add it as previously approved in next month's VIP, and we'll track it against the budget.
Okay.
And so for the public, for the committee, this is all out-of-pocket expenses that get charged to the project in lieu of a permitting fee.
Correct. So basically, with it, the town is not charging permit fees. However, we're treating this like a regular project. So meaning that we're going through the same, review as anyone else would. The town doesn't get the town doesn't get a free pass just because it's a school project. So we're doing the same thing. So we're even across the board with everybody. So which means that we have to pay for it, unfortunately. So. All right, so Jeff, would we approve this one now, or would we wait till the next time?
I think it's fine. It's 2.5 hours. They're clearly geared up.
Yeah.
It's
All right, so I make a motion to approve a bill for professional services from March 28th to May 1st for Beta for the amount of $501.03.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. All right, motion passed unanimously.
So this
All
is
right.
Fontaine.
Yep. All right, next item on the agenda would be bill for Fontaine, who's the general contractor on the job. Sorry, construction manager on the job, for work done on, let's see here. It's a cutoff on the month of April.
Oh, you want me to move it up? Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I got it. No, for the month of April.
Two
for the
months.
amount of-
It's March and April. It's the first 2 months.
Okay, all right, for the work done in the month of March and April for the amount of $30,858.
So
Can I
I
make a motion?
negotiated a flat rate just so for, sorry, do you want to take your motion first?
No, go ahead.
Yes, I negotiated a monthly burn rate, and so that's what this represents. So you'll see that kind of repeated throughout, that we kind of took this 216,000 and divided it by the number of months.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so I make a motion that we pay the $30,858.00.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. So the motion passed unanimously.
Okay, so TAP-A.
Yeah. So TAP-A, this is for the month of April for TAP-A. And Jeff, could you just walk through, just because it is a bigger number?
Yeah, Kim, do you have the whole VIP up or just the invoice?
I have the billing backup. I don't have the whole VIP. I have all the pieces of the TAP-A invoice, but
All right.
You can just give us a high level, Jeff, of what it is.
I'm just going to grab it for a second. Make it easier for you. You can see the numbers. Is that showing? Not yet. So you guys can all see that the remainder of the invoice. So in our vendor invoice pack, we always break it down by cost. So in TAP-A's, they completed their design development. So they billed you the balance of design development, which is this 289,000. And then the first couple of percentages of the construction documents phase as they started in the CD phase. As I alluded earlier, there was a $10,980 reimbursable where they went into the building and cameraed the existing water lines and sewer lines to validate that what could be reused on the campus. And then there was some minor printing costs as a reimbursement for something the school had requested. And then this has the other two invoices as well while we're here, which is Fontaine's. And then Vertex's fee breaks down into our basic monthly cash flow, which is 31,700. And then we did an estimate last month, which was 19,800, and that comprised our $51,000 invoice. And right now you're looking at TAP-A's $351,000 invoice.
All right.
Is here.
All right, so I make a motion that we approve the bill for TAP-A for professional services for the amount of $351,099.85.
Second.
All right, motion's been made in second. I'll do this one by roll call. So Diane, because I can see you.
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Shayna,
Aye.
Robin,
Aye.
and I'm an aye also. And I think I get everybody right because I can only see a few people. So. All right, so the motion passed unanimously. I think that was it, right?
You have your mind still.
we have to do Vertex, yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you're inclined.
Picky, you know?
You're inclined.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the invoice from Vertex for the month of April for the amount of $51,500.
I'll release screen so you can see everybody's
Oh,
face.
there we go. Good. Thank you. All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, great. Motion passed unanimously.
So the photovoltaic thing, John, you just want to update the group on that. So I think the school is going to relocate some of the panels early. And so we may be proving part of that, out of sequence in terms of the relocation of some of the roof panels in the array. Is that a fair summary, John?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, it was work we'd have to do anyhow, and it works better for the town and the school to get these done earlier than later. So it solves a couple of problems. So we're gonna just do it out of sequence. So
Much appreciated.
All right. Let's see. I make a motion. Oh, we have to actually the meeting minutes. Sorry. If you could bring that up, Kim.
Yep, I don't have them up there, but meeting minutes from 4:15.
All right. I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from 4:15 as written.
Second.
All right. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passed unanimously. All right. Good. Well, I think we get everything done. Were
Okay.
there any questions from the group or any comments? Okay, good. All right, we'll keep up the good work. Stay cool. It'll be 65 degrees tomorrow. It was 99 the other day. So,
I move we
Great.
adjourn.
all right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, motion's been made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you.